buttonhole stitch, right-handers will usually work this from left to right, and left-handers will usually work from right to left. For right-handers, you work along two imaginary lines, the stitching line and then a lower line. So you take the thread in a loop above the stitching line, insert the needle on the lower line beneath your starting point. Keep a loop of thread on the surface of the fabric and bring the needle back up inside the loop immediately next to your starting point. And you'll find you've made a vertical loop there. So again, keep the thread above the stitching line, take the needle down onto the lower line and take the thread through to the back of the work. Keep a loop of thread open on the surface of the fabric and bring the needle up through the loop on the stitching line immediately next to your previous stitch. Make a loop of thread, take the needle down on the lower line, bring it up on the upper line inside the loop of thread and immediately next to the previous stitch. And you keep stitching along those lines until your line's full. So for left-handers, you make your loop of thread, take your needle down on the lower line immediately below your starting point, keep your loop of thread open on the surface of the fabric and bring the needle up on the stitching line inside the loop of thread and immediately next to your starting point. Loop of thread around, take the needle in on the lower line, keep the loop of thread open on the surface of the fabric and bring your needle back up inside that loop immediately next to the previous stitch. And you keep going like that, a nice loop of thread, needle down on the lower line, keep your loop of thread open and bring the needle back up inside the loop right next to the previous stitch. When you want to finish, you take the thread over the corner of the loop you've just made, angle your needle so that it goes underneath the stitch, and that will help it to sit nice and flat on the fabric. Same for the right hand, take the needle over the corner of the last loop you've made, angle the needle to go under the stitch, and it will sit nicely on the surface.